Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Rakan, and I'm going to be taking you guys through another LeetCode problem. This one is called Backspace String Compare, and it is number 844, and it is marked easy. So, to get started, some of the companies that use this question in interviews are IBM, Facebook, or Meta, Amazon, Apple, and so on and so forth. And as always, we're going to be starting with the star approach. To answer this problem, the first step is to set the situation, and in this case we are given two strings, one labeled S and the other one labeled ST, and both of these strings they may have a pound character or a hashtag, if you will, which denotes that this is going to be a backspace character, meaning that, for instance, if we're taking example 1 and we see this pound sign right here, that means we are going to backspace to the left, aka removing the letter B, in which case we will only be left with A and C. Same thing here, pound sign, remove the letter to the left, aka we backspace, and we're only left with A and C, and in this case we return true. In this example, same exact idea. We have two pound signs, so this is going to result in us backspacing twice, meaning we remove A and B in their entirety. And same thing here, pound sign, remove D, pound sign, remove C. And in this case, both of them are going to become empty strings, and output will be true. Okay, that's the situation that we're given with. The task that we are presented with is to simply return a boolean, either true or false. True denoting that they are equal strings, S and T, after we perform the backspace operations on them. False meaning that they are not equal after the backspace operations. The way I want to approach this is by using a stack. That's the idea I felt was the easiest to approach. I tried out this problem a bunch of times, as you guys can see by the submissions here. I tried to use an array, and it just was not working correctly, a lot of indexing issues, and it got a lot more complicated than it should have been. Another option other than using a stack is to simply use two pointers, and you'll accomplish you'll accomplish a big O of one space complexity in that case. But to keep it simple and just to make sure everyone understands the problem, I'm going to use this via a stack. Alright, so let's get started. So for example here, if we are given string AB pound C, which is denoted by this, in this case we want to check for if it's a normal character, meaning that it is not a pound sign. We simply want to add it to the stack, meaning it is valid. There are no operations that we have to perform on it, unless proven otherwise by the following character. So in this case, as we increment through the string, and we can convert this into a char array just to make it a little bit easier to traverse. In this case, if we come up on letter A, we are going to push it onto the stack. Increment, go to B, push it onto the stack. However, now that we have encountered a pound sign, in this case, we take the top element in the stack, since this is LIFO, last in, first out. We take the last element that we add into the stack and we simply pop. So after we pop this, let me just erase this. So that was popped. Pound sign we simply ignore. We're not going to be adding it to the stack, of course. Now we come to C and we push it onto the stack. After this, we simply convert the stack into a string and we return AC. Alright, pretty simple for this one. Now in the case of T equals AD space C, it's pretty much going to be the same idea. Well, it's actually going to be the exact same idea. Let me remove, crap, it's ADC. Let's go. AD, okay, cool. In this case, same idea, push A onto the stack, push D onto the stack, pound sign, we encounter that, simply remove it, so we pop. In the case that we pop it, remove it from the stack, and then we simply want to push on C into the stack, convert this into a string. We are given AC. After we get AC for S and AC for T, then we simply compare them, and then they're equal, and then we return. Apologize for the bad handwriting, I'm doing this all on the mouse. We return true. So pretty simple approach. The only caveat, or the only one thing that you guys want to make sure that we take into consideration right now when we do the code, is that if we have more pound signs than we actually do have characters. So if, say for instance, there was like 3 pound signs in here, I think there's a better example here. So say for example we have A, B, pound, pound, and if we have another pound at the end, we don't want to backspace after, or essentially pop from the stack something that just doesn't exist. The stack's going to be empty if we have 3 pound signs here. So we just want to make sure that the stack isn't empty before we pop. So let's get started with the action part of the star approach, which is actually coding it. So here we're going to create a this is going to be the helper method that's going to be essentially computing or performing the operations of the backspace on these strings, and then after that we're simply just going to compare them in the main method here, or the backspace compare method. So here we simply want to return a string, and we're going to call it backspace operation. We simply want to pass in string, unformatted string, just to make it a little bit easier to understand. Here we want to initialize the stack of type character. Stack is equal to new stack. Cool. And then here we simply want to convert the string that we are taking in into a char array. So string array equals new, oops, unformatted string dot to char array. Cool. So now we want to loop through the actual char array that we just initialized. I less than string array. Let me use the dot length to denote the size of the array in this case. I plus plus. Here we simply want to check if at the current position, so at string array I, if it does not equal the pound symbol, don't want to put P there, we simply push this onto the stack. Stack.push. That's a spelling error. Cool. In the case that, I'll keep pressing P. Alright, in the case that it is a pound symbol, we want to check if the stack is empty, being false. We just want to make sure that this is a false condition here, meaning that it has elements inside of it. Then we simply pop, like we talked about on the whiteboard. And then here we simply just want to return stack.toString, and then within this method here we simply want to return return backspace operation on S dot, and we're trying to see if calling both of these methods will return the same thing. So backspace operation on T. So the equals will either say yes, the left hand side is equal to the right hand side, meaning that after we perform the operations on S and after we perform the operations on T, that they're equal. In the case that they're not, it's simply just going to return false, or the equals method is going to simply return false. Let's run the code, see, hopefully it works. Alright, it works for this test case. Let's see if it works for everything else. Alright, it does work. So the reason why it's not faster than 99%
which is the usual for a lot of these YouTube videos that do solutions, stuff like that. It's because we didn't use a pointer in this case. So the space complexity is going to be big O m plus n, simply just because we were using a stack. And the time complexity is going to be big O m plus n, where m denotes the length of S and n denotes the length of t in this case. For the more advanced solutions, a lot of people use pointers, where they a pointer for S and a pointer for T, where they're doing the comparisons actively. It's a lot more involved, however it's doable, so if you guys have more time on your hands, and I would definitely check it out or try to attempt to solve this with pointers. But yeah, that's the general solution, and let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments below. I'll try to answer them, and let me know if you guys have any feedback for the videos and how I can improve, or if the quality is not too good, if I can change anything or the structure of it. But yeah, thank you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful week.